of the Houston Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, we want to thank you for joining us today at our Health, Innovation, and Technology Summit. Mercer, thank you all also for being with us. Of course, United Healthcare has been with us from the beginning. You're going to be hearing from their CEO, Dave Millich, in just a moment, and also from our friends at Mercer, the U.S. Army, Harris County, Intercom, ImageNet Consulting, JP Morgan Chase, Telemundo, and all of the other sponsors that you'll see running through the screen. Thanks to them, I'd like to welcome Dave Millich, former Chamber of Commerce board member, but once a board member, always a board member. Dave Millich is CEO of United Healthcare. He covers all of Texas and Oklahoma. So when he's not here at the Chamber, he's all over Texas and Oklahoma. United Health Group is a top-ranking company in the insurance and managed care section. And also, listen to this, Fortune's 2019 World's Most Admired Companies. That's pretty impressive. And we admire all of them, but especially our board member. Please welcome Dave Millich. And they're saying there's a commercial first and then Dave Millich. Is that right? Okay.
Whoa. We got a situation here.
I've never seen anything like that. Will you get my phone, please?
You're not taking a picture of this.
No, I want a video chat with a doctor.
Okay. Need a doctor after hours? United Healthcare can help. See a doctor right on your phone, right from your home.
Is that normal?
That's normal for a new baby.
And what about him?
Hey, Doc.
That's normal for a new parent.
United Healthcare.
Good evening, good afternoon. I'm Dave Millich from United Healthcare, former board member of the Chamber. So I have a couple of roles here. First is just to welcome everybody. So I do want to welcome you. Thank you for coming. This is an important event, not only for us at United Healthcare. We're proud to be the sponsor of this event now for, I think Laura said 10 years, and certainly the entire 8 years that I've been here in Houston, we've played a major role in this because it started out as the Health Summit, and now it's evolved into a broader discussion of health, innovation, technology. So first, what drives innovation for us? And a lot of that is just change in general. So I look out into this audience and I see many of the millennials and Generation Z people that we talk a lot about, and those of us who are on the other edge of the band who are soon aging into Medicare, age 65. We look at the world obviously very differently, and from a healthcare perspective and from a benefit design perspective, we want different things. So we launched a product that we call Motion. And really what Motion is designed to do is it's designed to promote activity, getting up and moving. Because what we know, based on data, and we're a very data-driven organization, that a lot of chronic disease can be impacted positively simply by us getting up and moving. The challenge is getting us to get up and move. And so you've heard a lot about gamification, and I think over the last several years, even at this event, we've talked a lot about gamification and how that provides incentives for people to do things that we should be doing anyway. So I'm gonna focus here on diabetes. And we talk about motion as medicine. And so if you look at diabetes and how motion can impact the disease state of that individual, it plays a really important role in that innovative process. A typical disease management program only gets about 5% of an employer's population to participate. Again, based on data. But what we know with motion is we can bump that up to somewhere between 45 and 65%. In general, it's because they're doing a lot of that movement already anyway, they're just not keeping track of it. And so if we can get those participants to walk more than the national average, which is about 5,000 steps, and get it to move towards where the average motion person is, which is about 12,000 steps, again, that motion as medicine really starts to take effect and starts to impact that chronic disease state. And what we also know is because we're providing incentives through their benefit design, individuals are more likely to stay with it, much more than a traditional wellness program or gym membership. So what's the reward, right? How do we get people to do this? Well, we're all motivated by dollars. So what the Motion program does in terms of reward is it gives individuals dollars, generally into a health savings account, as they hit certain thresholds each and every day. And so an individual can earn as much as $2,500 a year if they're compliant with this Motion type of program. Not only does it improve their health, but it also helps them offset out-of-pocket expenses that they might otherwise have, which again helps them be compliant with medication and different types of services that they may need for their disease state. So again, I want to say thank you for coming. We appreciate your support of this wonderful organization. As a former board member, I look at the attendance that we've had over the years, and this has just become a wonderful event that we're very proud to be a part of. Thank you for coming.
Gosh, what a great organization. What great leadership from Dr. Morello. You always want to go where the future is, and this is where the future is. And when you look at this people, the quality of the production, everything about this organization and the leadership, this is what you want to be a part of.
The Hispanic Chamber is a force in policy, in the economy, and in politics.
We've been talking about the ways that the Chamber has grown and how it influences the community.
The Houston Hispanic Chamber of Commerce has been very actively involved with HISD.
This is an organization that says, what can we do to help future generations? So that is why Harris County will stand beside this organization, help the Chamber any way it can.
The Houston Hispanic Chamber of Commerce is the leading regional advocate for the economic and civic interests of the Hispanic business community. Our advocacy efforts took center stage in 2018. Our three legislative priorities include DACA, NAFTA, and census. Collectively, the economic impact of these three legislative priorities is $24.8 billion in the greater Houston region. The Houston Hispanic Chamber of Commerce announced a wide-ranging partnership with the City of Houston ahead of the pivotal 2020 U.S. Census to increase engagement and broaden awareness.
I asked them for their support without hesitating. The Hispanic Chamber came to our rescue. Thank you, Dr. Moreno.
This year, Vincent and Elkins filed an amicus brief providing legal arguments for keeping DACA on behalf of the Houston Hispanic Chamber of Commerce.
If these DACA recipients are not allowed to stay here, we will lose over $460 billion.
The Houston Hispanic Chamber of Commerce says not only is this going to impact families, our local economy is going to get a big hit if a legislative solution to this is not found.
The Houston Hispanic Chamber of Commerce said DACA recipients help drive the local economy.
We'll fight this fight every day until we are able to find a legislative solution.
We saw a victory when the United States District Court agreed with the arguments made in our amicus and denied a preliminary injunction to the plaintiff state seeking to immediately end DACA. We have utilized our media platform, which includes CBS, Intercom, Univision, KHOU 11, and the Q to disseminate facts and figures. Additionally, the national media has taken notice of our chamber and has featured us on Bloomberg, CNN, The Washington Post, NPR, Money Week, to name a few. We've leveraged our 2018 initiatives as part of our outreach to small business and corporate partners in an effort to educate and emphasize our role as the leader of Houston's new majority. We prepared op-eds, wrote white papers, held press conferences, presented on local and national panels, and launched a robust billboard campaign.
NAFTA, as you know, your chamber once again has taken the lead. The numbers don't lie.
This is about jobs, economic impact. We know that a trade between the U.S. and Mexico is over $180 billion as it relates to Texas.
You all are very aware of the importance that this brings to our county, to our region, and the number of jobs that can be created as a result of the MWBE program.
It was also a banner year for the Chamber's annual initiatives. We introduced two groundbreaking and data-focused Hispanic Impact Summits, held the Women's Leadership Conference and Business Expo, Health, Innovation, and Technology Summit, our annual luncheon and Business Expo, the largest in Houston, as well as our elected officials reception, annual awards gala, and we graduated the third cohort of the Business Institute and 7th cohort of emerging leaders. The Houston Hispanic Chamber of Commerce remains mission-focused.
And as go Hispanics, so goes Houston.
The Houston Hispanic Chamber of Commerce is the leading regional advocate for the economic and civic interest of the Hispanic business community, the leader of Houston's new majority.
So now we'd like to welcome up our panel. We have with us today 3 individuals. I'm going to ask them to go ahead and come up. United States Army, please join us, and also Avantcare and JP Morgan Chase. I'll introduce them individually in just a second as well. So Captain Ian Moss is joining us today, and you might be wondering why the Army. Well, if you have any ideas about what the U.S. Army does, one of them is that everything that is in technology, or most everything, a lot of things began in the Army. So he's going to talk to us a little bit about that. So again, joining us is Captain Ian Moss. He's company commander for the South Houston Army Recruiting Company. Welcome and thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
From JP Morgan Chase, Jorge Gonzalez is Vice President, Area Manager. He's going to talk to us a little bit about what else? Access to capital, money, and the role that they play. And we think it's really important to always focus on entrepreneurs, and we've had a variety of different entrepreneurs joining us on stage. We are particularly proud of Rick Bettis, who's CEO of Avantgarde. He was one of our executives of the year, and we're going to take credit for Rick and everything he has done. We identified him, I think it was in, 2012, Rick? Yes. Something like that. And so we've interviewed him, and I think it's inspirational to all of us, especially those of you who are entrepreneurs, to know that it takes a lot of work, but it can be done. And Rick's story is very interesting because he was a waiter at Olive Garden, probably the best waiter Olive Garden has ever had. And today he sits here with a multi-million-dollar enterprise and various companies and is doing some exceptional, innovative type of work. So we'll hear from him. But we want to start with the Army. What do people not know in terms of innovation, technology, why the Army does it, what you do, and how it's affecting business and the community at large?
So I guess it comes back to the way that I saw the Army from my experience. Before I joined the Army, I knew very, very little about it. And now that I've had the chance to be in the Army for now going on 7 years, I've started to see how broad the Army is. So just for example, the Army, the Department of Defense, is the 2nd largest employer in the United States. It's just better than KFC, Pizza Hut, and then just below Walmart. So we have one of the largest organizations in the country, and so for that matter, it's one of the most innovative by necessity. With those innovations for the Army, it's less robust revolutions, game changers. It's more that we're focused on incremental innovation on a daily level at all levels so that we can guarantee that we fulfill our charter to the American people. So American foreign policy, we're trying to set conditions so that diplomacy, democracy are safe and secure across the world and protect our own interests. For the Department of Defense, we are the powerhouse behind deterring conflict, securing that peace. And then the Army, we fight and win our nation's wars in order to ensure that we always have the prosperity, the blessings of liberty are secure here at home. And so for innovation in the Army, the way that we focus on that is trying to be prepared for the next battlefield so that we're not fighting the previous war and using those philosophy, those tactics, and those technology, and we're not bringing essentially a knife to a gunfight.
Most recently, the conversations you and I have had are single-use plastics, what that looks like, and how a lot of the work you're doing is disrupting just the way Amazon has come into the market and has changed how supply chain is done. So let's go there, and again, very proud of the work you've done over the last 8 years or so.
Well, thank you, and I appreciate that. Never read all your press releases as a first rose, but thank you. Really is pretty interesting what the approach that we have taken to manage waste and recyclables. We call it waste, but that's the problem. It's not waste, right? It's a valuable asset. So we call it finding your hidden green assets. So if you think about it, plastics that end up in the ocean, and you think about it's a product that's valuable. Most of us that in any business, we generate, as a consumer, we use packaging, but at the end of the day, that is worth money. So Dave, you're talking about money. The answer is always money. So how do we make that, but also on an environmental basis to drive changing the way the efficiency, and really the way we did it is technology. So we created the Fitbit for the waste and recycling industry. And so think about now your compactors, your balers, scales, we measure all of that. We use data analytics to drive efficiencies. Most of the time, if I ask any executive, anybody here that said, well, how much you spend on your waste spend? Probably nobody knows, right? It's a cost. We look at it as, no, let's make that efficient. Let's look, we take pictures of what's in there, and then we move it to the other side of your asset sheet and pay you for that. So now you're doing good for the environment, you're doing good for getting rid of landfills and going into the ocean, and you make money doing it. So socially, it's the right thing to do, and now you can make money by doing that. So it's really a simple concept, but the fact is, if you look at how much plastic is generated, cardboard, organics, pallets, and everything that you recover, it's 100% profit.
We know that all of this takes money. And as a businessman, and I was talking to our board member, Arnold, and a few other entrepreneurs, and the conversation was about when you're getting started, it's very hard to get a bank to pay attention to you. And so many entrepreneurs use credit cards or other ways to make ends meet. And the conversation with the entrepreneur is like, now that I've made it, everyone calls me. And so JP Morgan Chase, I know you guys must be the exception, right? So talk to the entrepreneurs here who are interested and already doing great things, but they need more access to capital. Help them understand the things they need to do to prepare for that and to do business with JP Morgan Chase.
Sure. Well, thank you for having me here. Let me just start out by saying that JP Morgan Chase has always been committed to serving the business population here in the city of Houston. Whether we've gone through an economic recession or an expansion, the business banking department at Chase has always been there. And the way we serve our business banking population is, one, by having the largest network of branches that we have, one, in the city, and two, basically in the country. Our clients can go into any one of our branches and process an account there, transact for their business, and ask questions to the representatives that sit there. Now, as our business banking clients continue to grow, so do their needs. The complexities of business grow. At Chase, we have 100 relationship managers that represent the entire city for a business demographic anywhere from about $1 million in annual sales to about $30 million in annual sales. They are there to understand what are the needs of the business owner, understand what keeps them up at night, and help them to navigate a large institution like Chase, right? So that we can go ahead and deliver a small bank feel with the luxuries and the amenities of a large institution like Chase. So that's how we serve our client.
What I heard from Jorge is that there are 150, right, loan officers, and all you need is one to say yes. So thank you, JP Morgan Chase. Thank you to Avantgarde and the U.S. Army. Thank you, Captain. Appreciate it.
Gosh, what a great organization. What great leadership from Dr. Morello. You always want to go where the future is, and this is where the future is. And when you look at this people, the quality of the production, everything about this organization and the leadership, this is what you want to be a part of.
The Hispanic Chamber is a force in policy, in the economy, and in politics.
We've been talking about the ways that the Chamber has grown and how it influences the community.
Houston Hispanic Chamber of Commerce has been very actively involved with HISD.
This is an organization that says, what can we do to help future generations? So that is why Harris County will stand beside this organization, help the Chamber any way it can.
The Houston Hispanic Chamber of Commerce is the leading regional advocate for the economic and civic interests of the Hispanic business community. Our advocacy efforts took center stage in 2018. Our 3 legislative priorities include DACA, NAFTA, and census. Collectively, the economic impact of these 3 legislative priorities is $24.8 billion in the greater Houston region. The Houston Hispanic Chamber of Commerce announced a wide-ranging partnership with the city of Houston ahead of the pivotal 2020 U.S. Census to increase engagement and broaden awareness.
I asked them for their support without hesitating. The Hispanic Chamber came to our rescue. Thank you, Dr. Comercio.
This year, Vincent and Elkins filed an amicus brief providing legal arguments for keeping DACA on behalf of the Houston Hispanic Chamber of Commerce.
These DACA recipients are not allowed to stay here. We will lose over $460 billion.
The Houston Hispanic Chamber of Commerce says not only is this going to impact families, our local economy is going to get a big hit if a legislative solution to this is not found.
The Houston Hispanic Chamber of Commerce said DACA recipients help drive the local economy.
We'll fight this fight every day until we are able to find a legislative solution.
We saw a victory when the United States District Court agreed with the arguments made in our amicus and denied a preliminary injunction to the plaintiff state seeking to immediately end DACA. We have utilized our media platform, which includes CBS, Intercom, Univision, KHOU 11, and the Q to disseminate facts and figures. Additionally, the national media has taken notice of our chamber and has featured us on Bloomberg, CNN, The Washington Post, NPR, Money Week, to name a few. We've leveraged our 2018 initiatives as part of our outreach to small business and corporate partners in an effort to educate and emphasize our role as the leader of Houston's new majority. We prepared op-eds, wrote white papers, held press conferences, presented on local and national panels, and launched a robust billboard campaign.
NAFTA, as you know, your chamber once again has taken the lead. The numbers don't lie.
This is about jobs, economic impact. We know that a trade between the U.S. and Mexico is over $180 billion as it relates to Texas.
You all are very aware of the importance that this brings to our county, to our region, and the number of jobs that can be created as a result of the MWBE program.
It was also a banner year for the Chamber's annual initiatives. We introduced 2 groundbreaking and data-focused Hispanic Impact Summits, held the Women's Leadership Conference and Business Expo, Health, Innovation, and Technology Summit, our annual luncheon and Business Expo, the largest in Houston, as well as our elected officials reception, annual awards gala, and we graduated the 3rd cohort of the Business Institute and 7th cohort of Emerging Leaders. The Houston Hispanic Chamber of Commerce remains mission-focused.
And as go Hispanics, so goes Houston.
The Houston Hispanic Chamber of Commerce is the leading regional advocate for the economic and civic interests of the Hispanic business community, the leader of Houston's new majority.
All right, our next presenter is new to the Houston Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. We've got 2 individuals joining us today from Mercer. And a little bit about Mercer. We're really dealing with the world's largest on all topics today, including United Healthcare. But Mercer is the world's largest human resources consulting firm. It's also the world's largest institutional investment advisor with over 10, with a T, trillion in assets under advice and more than 200 billion in open architecture assets under delegated management. Philip, so let's talk about that. Let's talk about Mercer's website, and you indicate that you are working really hard to help companies retain and recruit. What are some of the specifics that Mercer is trying to do in that space?
We are developing and have rolled out now solutions that I'm going to describe in a second for employers down to 100 employees. So everybody these days is trying to attract, train, retain employees, and we believe all employees are important regardless of the size of their employer. So that's what we're trying to accomplish. The way we're trying to do that is through the employer side. So we're not a recruiting firm, but what we're doing is we're helping employers figure out, not just by generation, but by skill set, how to attract those employees to get them to come work for them. And then once they get them in the door, which is sometimes a task in and of itself, the highest turnover that an employer has is in the first 5 years of employment. If you can get somebody to stay past that 5-year mark, they'll usually be a long-term employee. So we're coming up with strategies to help the employers attract them, keep them employed and happy the first 5 years, and then keep them a long-term employee.
So that's the kind of work that you would do if you had someone here from the chamber, for example, where you'd sit with them, find out what their needs are, find out the packages that they're presenting to employees, and not just looking at the interviews, if you will, but just the overall strategy for recruiting and retaining.
Yeah, one size does not fit all, as anybody in the room knows. What we're trying to do is understand first the business strategy that you have. We'll talk about industry in a few minutes. But then once we understand the business strategy, align what we call the people strategy with that business strategy.
So Jeff, before the session began, we talked a little bit about your portfolio and the people that you are working with. Today, it is very complicated. I think most people in this room who have different health packages are looking at renewals and what they should select and how this works into their budget. What are some of the things that you would talk about with your clients as it relates specifically to the marketplace and those healthcare packages?
So when we're working with our healthcare clients, they are increasingly facing the what Philip mentioned, which is there's a shortage of workers out there. So attracting and retaining the best employees is topmost on their mind. We see wages increasing across the board. Target recently announced a $15 minimum wage, followed by Bank of America. They're going to have a $20 minimum wage by 2020. And so our healthcare clients can't just attract people that they need with their wages. And so what Mercer does is really help them create a unique, innovative employment brand so that they can actually attract and retain the employees that they need. Another area where we're working with our clients, specifically in healthcare, is on understanding the supply and demand of the workforce that they need to staff the healthcare organizations. And so what Mercer does is we use big data and predictive analytics so that they understand and can make better, smarter HR decisions.
What else is it that you'd like to share, Philip, especially for folks who have not heard about Mercer or those who've worked with them in the past that they should take away today?
One thing that I'm not going to be able to go over this in just a few minutes, but go to our website and look for something called Global Talent Trends. So the big issue coming upon us as employers of any size, any industry, is something we call the fourth industrial revolution. So the third industrial revolution was the concern that machines, computers, would replace workers. We've now moved to the fourth industrial revolution, and that is saying employers and machines are going to need to learn how to partner with each other. So split up jobs that can be done by technology and can be done by a machine. By a person. So a good example of this, and then I'll leave you with that thought, is the Houston Astros. So I think that's sort of a non-controversial positive in this room. So if you've seen what the Astros do, for example, when they shift the infield, or the winning ways from 2017, they embraced technology. So they do analytics, they know to shift 3 infielders, they know who to hire. But what they didn't do is they didn't give up baseball scouts. So they combined the knowledge of scouts, the human element, with the knowledge of machines and analytics to win a World Series in 2017, and they're continuing to win today. That's what we're trying to do with our clients, is help them become winning organizations and embrace technology, not resist it, but not give up workers.
So it's combining, as you said, a hybrid, and Mercer is here to help identify those opportunities with you today. And we can't get beyond the technology. I mean, it really is true, is that to have that competitive edge, you must be able to have people such as Mercer who are the experts and can help you get there. So thank you, Philip and Jeff, for joining us. And a round of applause for Mercer for underwriting today's panel. Thank you.